This is the game board and these are the rules for the game. This card with BIB represents books in Bible. This card represents characteristics, attributes, and names of God. This card represents disciples of Jesus or tribes of Israel. In the Bible, this represents kings, queens, prince, princess, emperor, rulers in the Bible. This represents names in Bible, both male and female names. This represents places, areas, cities, and towns in the Bible. And this represents themes or events in the Bible. Next, place the cards in the boxes, each in its category. Next, shuffle the cards and give each player 7. Now, to start the game, each player is to recite 1 Thessalonians 5:17, which says, "Pray without ceasing," and this is to be done in their first 10 only. The correct recital is 5 marks. So for round 1, player 1 draws a card from the BIB category and then places it on the box labeled X that is facing him or her. So starting with player 1, all the players look for a card with any letter A to Z in their possession and they play or put it on their respective boxes, which is labeled either as player 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And each player answers questions regards the BIB card. So let's start with player 1. So player 1 is to choose a letter from his cards and then mention any book in the Bible that starts with that letter. So assuming he chooses this A, he places on this box for player 1 and then he mentions any book. So he mentions Acts. So Acts is correct for 3 marks. Now he's to give a verse reference from the book of Acts. So Acts 16:31, that's correct for 2 marks. The next thing is to recite a verse or the verse Acts 16:31 or describe any event in the book of Acts. So he goes to recite the verse that is Acts 16:31, which says, "Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and you will be saved, you and your household." That's also correct for 3 marks. And then now he's to give the meaning of the background color of the card. So the background color is green and green stands for nature. So that brings us to the end of player 1's turn for the first round. Now we go to player 2. Player 2 looks through his cards and then chooses M. That means player 2 must mention any book in the Bible that starts with the letter M. So Matthew. The next thing is to give a verse reference. So Matthew 7:7. That's correct for 2 marks. Recite the verse. So ask and you shall receive, seek and you find, knock and the door shall be opened unto you. And now give the background color of the card. So purple is wisdom. And now we go to player 3. Player 3 also chooses the G and then mentions Genesis for 3 marks. Gives 1 verse reference. So Genesis 1:1 for 2 marks. Recites the verse. In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. So correct for 3 marks. And then gives the meaning of the background color of the card. So green for nature. So that's also correct for 2 marks. Now we go to player 4. So player 4 picks R and goes with Revelations as the book. And now for the reference, Revelations 3:20 for 2 marks. To recite the verse, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I'll come in to him and eat with him and he with me." And now to give the color of the card, the background color. So brown is earth for 2 marks. Note that the starting verse is to be recited by all the players in the first 10 before the questions are asked them. So this is how you end round 1. So a player can get a maximum of 15 marks in their first 10 only, and also a maximum of 10 marks for the other 10s. It all depends on the player being able to say everything or answer all the questions right. So now we go to round 2. So for round 2, player 2 picks a card, this card, and places it on the X. Now all the players are supposed to answer questions based on that card. So We are going to talk about the characteristics, attributes, or names of God. So starting with player 2. Player 2 must choose a card from his cards and then continue with the questions. So assuming he chooses O, now he's to give one characteristic that or attribute or name of God that starts with the letter O. So maybe omnipresent for 2 marks, and give a book in the Bible where the omnipresent can be found. So he has to give that for 3 marks. He recites any verse that relates to the attribute or characteristic or the name given, or recites any verse in the book mentioned, or describe any event in the book mentioned, or give the meaning of the name of God. That is only if it aligns to that. All this, any of these answered correctly is worth 3 marks. The next thing is to give the background color of the card. So that's what the players will do. So when player 2 is done, we go to player 3, player 4, and then back to player 1. Now that's it for the second round, and then we go to the round 3. So for round 3, player 3 will pick from this box and then place it on the X that is facing him, and then all the players will answer the questions based on the card, or the questions that relate to that card. And then after that, we move to round 4. Player 4 will pick from this box and then place it here, and then all the players in their turns will answer questions based on whatever is asked with regards to that card. And so that's how it works. So it continues 10 after 10. Then we go to round 5, which means we go back to player 1 for round 5, picking a card, and then all the players answering questions based on that card. Then we go to round 6, player 2 picks a card from there. We go to round 7, player 3 picks a card from there. So all the players are to answer the questions that are asked with regards each card. Now, this is how to end the game. The first player who is able to accumulate 75 marks at the end of any round is the one who wins the game. After that, all the other players will choose their positions based on their marks. Thank you.